Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. Happy Wednesday. Got my favorite mug today with my remaining pigment contribution to always remind me how to do color corrections, perfect for today's topic. So if you saw the email or the post about today's topic, it said, Holy Hot Roots, let's fix this together. I am getting ready for a class on Sunday. A couple times a year, I do boot camps. This time is a little different. We decided that I shouldn't say everyone, most people's attention span have shortened greatly using cell phones, TikTok, Instagram, all the things. The amount of time that you have for a video keeps getting shorter and shorter. So you have to get right to the point and completely, get right into what you're talking about. So my favorite thing about boot camp is that I get to meet new hairstylists that may not follow me, may not know who I am, may not have done any of my education. And I love spending, when I first started doing them, 5 full sessions was boot camp. Then we heard back from people and they said, I have to work in the salon. I have children. I have family. I have to cook. I have to go to the food store. I can't give up 5 full sessions to attend these things. I was like, okay, I get it. I'll make it 3 days. So we did it 3 days in a row. And it was like drinking out of a fire hose, 3 straight days of like, me talking about all things color. And people said, oh my gosh, that was too much, too fast. We need more time. So then I started doing a Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday formula. So first session on Thursday, second session on Tuesday, third session on Thursday. That seemed to work really, really well. And I was going to do that again. And then I talked to Bryn and we were going over, what works, what doesn't, what we've had success with. And I said, people just want me to shut the hell up and get to the point, especially hello, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, people are like, stop talking about your weekend, stop talking about your kids and whatever's going on in your family. Just give us the information about the color, which makes me sad because I'm a storyteller and I like to tell stories. So my stories always have intermixed lessons in there. I just did this morning. My husband's like, why are you so full of energy? I was up and swatched and did all kinds of things for my class on Sunday. I had a lot of things I had to do. I was up at 5:30 a.m. and I was swatching my little heart out. So this is the result of a swatch that started out, as you can see, as 9B. And we all know what it feels like to overtone somebody's blonde hair. You're like, oh, I think it looks a little bit warm. Let me use some B. So they put B on and then they're like, oh crap, now it looks gray, right? Because the blue we always talk about in my classes is always going to be the bully. So it started out, this isn't the exact swatch, but it started out like this, very gray looking, very muddy, very dingy. And I wanted to demonstrate how quickly we can turn it back into this beautiful, shimmery, champagne-y, really pretty blonde in 5 minutes. I went from that to this in 5 minutes. I'm going to share that in Sunday's class, along with, using DDL for Vivids, what not to do with Vivids. There's so many different circumstances that we have in front of us as colorists. And unfortunately, most people, when they're dealing with a corrective situation, get into a really quick sense of panic of, look at the clock. Oh my gosh, I only have so much time. Let me grab the bleach. And if you've ever done that, where you've grabbed bleach in a corrective situation and it got worse, you'll understand the why behind it after you come to class on Sunday. So today, as I was getting ready for this class, I'm always thinking, it's all consuming to me. I'm like, okay, I have a workshop coming up. What is the things that people really, really need to know? Elaine, get to the point. And I thought, banding, super pain in the ass. We all have it happen. We all see it on clients, banding in the hair, especially right around the hairline. Uneven lift, taking someone from black to blonde and blonde to black. Difficult, right? Both ways, up and down. removing vivids, removing splat, removing henna, working with hair that has sun in. These are all the things that came to my mind. I would love to hear from you in the comments. If I missed anything or if you think something is more important than any of those things, please feel free to share, because I want it to be time well spent for the people who invested in me in this class. That's always my intention. I don't want to waste anyone's time, because most people, by the time they find me, have wasted so much time getting to find me and find these answers, and have to keep doing the school of hard knocks and the fake it till you make it, and the just keep doing it and learn from your mistakes, which I completely disagree with. That model is not even close to being how I roll. So Nat just said, I'm working on splat removal. So splat removal is very interesting. And Nat, I think that you're a member. I'm not absolutely positive. I know you're on these coffee chats all the time, so I could be confusing it. But if you are not a member of the Hair Color Secrets Insider Inner Circle, so back up. If you are a member of the Inner Circle, do not buy this workshop. You are all members of my crew. You get everything that I do. So do not buy it, please. We've sent you emails. We've put posts in the Facebook group saying, I love that you guys love me and you want to buy it, but I don't want you to buy it because then I have to refund you and it costs me a lot of money. So Inner Circle, do not buy this. You're getting it. So Nat, don't buy it. But if I can get it to you before your splat removal, you're going to be shocked at what you have to do to remove splat. It's very different than any other hair color because it's not oxidative dye and it's not a typical vivid. So splat and Goldwell Illumin, completely different animals. So doing color for 40 years, you figure this stuff out, right? Because you have to. So I do it all and I've made all the mistakes so that none of you have to. So that's the point. So anyway, ADD off the rails again. I was up too early. So I am at a women's expo. My friend is keeping me very busy. We both have husbands that don't love to run around and do a lot of things. They're very into sitting on the couch and watching sports, and they're perfectly happy all weekend. So her and I are like, we are on the go. Like anything that we see happening in the area, we're like, okay, cool, sign me up. So she was like, hey, there's this women's expo. I have 2 free tickets. It's over in Tampa, which is like a 45-minute ride. I was like, I'm in. So we go to the women's expo and it's awful. It's like such a shit show. There's no rhyme or reason to what was there. Like when you think women's expo, like for me, I think maybe like women's gut health for menopause. Hell, even like a women's sex toy booth, like something like that like you wouldn't buy anywhere else, but you're like, oh, it's at a women's expo. I'll get myself a little toy. That's kind of what I expected. Vitamins, diet plans, those silly vibrating things that you stand on that's supposed to make you lose weight, like kitschy stuff like that is what I expected. Instead, it was gutter guards. There was like a person selling gutter guards. There was an insurance company selling insurance. I was like, I don't want to buy insurance at a women's expo. So anyway, this woman was selling this aloe vera, some kind of cream. And I looked at her and my eyes like literally popped out of my head. And I was like, oh, hey, do you mind if I take a photo of your hair? Now, truth be told, it was awful. She thought I was complimenting her hair and I left it that way. There was no need to insult her. But I said, I'd really love to take a picture of your color. I'm a hair color educator and I'm doing a class this weekend and this is perfect. And I didn't tell her that it was a hair color rescue class and that I was being assaulted with my eyeballs with her color. So she was like, oh yeah. And she's telling me the name of her person and that I should go see her. And I'm like, I want to remember the name of your person. So I never go see her. So this was her. And again, she was in the email and in the, Instagram post about today's coffee chat. So this is how her color looked. Now, I don't know the story. I don't know if she bought one of those new L'Oreal speaking of vibrators, vibrating applicators that are for the consumer that got us all fired up when they came out, or if she took a regular box at the drugstore and she did it and just did the top and not the rest. I don't know what the story is. Full disclosure. All I know is she's going to end up, well, no, she's not because she thought it was fabulous. So she's not going to end up getting a correction, but she needs to end up in someone's chair and get corrected. So if she came to you and you look at her, I want you to comment What is your first reaction when you see this front view? So I'm showing you the front view first because I want you to see her skin tone, what's going on in her skin. I want you to see the color of her shirt. And I want you to look at everything that's going on in her hair color, not just the Holy Hot Roots, but the rest of the color. And I want you to just sit with that for a minute. I don't want you to react and think about like, oh, I would do, because I did this in our coaching call this week for the inner circle. And the answers that I got surprised me. And it's because it was the knee jerk reaction of let's put this fire out, right? We all tend to be like, whoa, that is so hot and warm and that needs to be cooled down, but not necessarily. So I want to check. I know there's a little bit of a delay, but I wanted to see if anybody commented on the like, what do you do? What is your inclination in looking at that of what you think would be a better look for that woman? And then while you're doing that, I'm going to show you some other angles because she was letting me get up in there because she thought she was a L'Oreal model. I go to the back of her hair and see this. Nothing was colored underneath in the back. It's like a ring around the freaking rosy on the top crown area, just that top layer, and nothing underneath was touched. So she had gray, she had her natural, she had the hot roots on top, sitting almost like a yarmulke on her head. And I was like, oh my God. And she wasn't bothered by me digging through the back. So clearly she doesn't know that she's got all that back there, which I'm thinking she may live alone and just doesn't see the back of her head. I don't know. I can't make any excuses for her because I personally couldn't walk around like this. So that was the bottom of the back, the middle and bottom of the back. Lots of roots, lots of gray, and lots of, something that happened prior to the great idea of I want to be a redhead. Or did she not want to be a redhead? Was this I picked up a box of Clairol herbal essence. I don't even know what the name of box color is, but Clairol Instincts. And she picked medium golden blonde because that always sounds like a great idea. And clients pick it up and they see the beautiful star. There's usually a celebrity on the cover, like Heather Locklear or Eva Longoria or someone like that is on the cover. So they believe, as I would if I wasn't a colorist, that when you pick up that box and it says medium golden blonde, you're going to have this like winter wheat, beautiful golden deliciousness, something like the bottom of here, like a more golden spun gold. And they don't know that their hair's dark and it's going to, surface all of the remaining pigment contribution. And they're going to end up very much like this. So that could be the case. It could be that. It could be, oh, I've been this color for a long time. This is like kind of not committing to, in my opinion, she's not committed to being blonde or brown. It's kind of like that shade that comes out when you start to lighten brown hair, but you're not committed to the full lightening service. And it lands in that weirdly brassy, weirdly almost looks like a chlorine kind of finish to it, like a greeny gold. She's got that going on in there. So she could have been like, you know what? I've had this for a while. I'm tired of it. I want to go with more of a copper. And it could I doubt it was a professional, but she was talking about her girl when I asked her if I could take a picture. Maybe she thought I was complimenting the haircut, which I did not like on her either. That's a whole other story. And I'm not going to go there because I am the color queen. I do not comment on haircuts because I haven't done one in about 25 years, other than my family. And not even my daughter, because she's a curly girl. So she goes to a curly specialist. So let me go back because people are finally commenting. I can't believe how much of a lag there is. So Simone suggested finely weaved blonding to break up the color, keep the base as is. And Simone or someone remind me to come back to why I disagree with that. But it is definitely an option. Oh my, the back made me clutch my pearls. I love you, Simone. I love that saying. Clutch my pearls. This is Beauty, Beards, and Health and Wealth with Selena. Says 8 or 9 N, 9 copper. So 9, just to give you a little bit of insight, copper does not live at 9. So remember that. And when I say live, it's that, hair, as it's lifting through all the levels of lift, the different amounts of warmth live at different numbers. And as you can see, up at 9, There is no orange or copper. So just be mindful of that. Here is my friend Teresa. We just had breakfast together. Would use 2 different formulas, one for the gray front and one for the rest, and add some lowlights. So I agree with most of that, but what color are you taking her to? Because let's go back. I really want to get into this. And this is just like 5 minutes of what we're going to talk about on Sunday. So we're going to go much deeper. This is all to get you to come to Sunday. If you haven't bought your ticket, what are you waiting for? You still have time to buy your ticket. Let me put the banner up because I will forget that. So if you want to come, it's simply my website, expertcolorsolutions.com/corrective-color-remix. And that's a lot to type and a lot to remember. So I'm putting it into the comments, and you should be able to click on it and it'll take you right to the page to get a ticket. If you cannot make it live, that's the question I always get. I have my niece's communion party. I have a bridal shower. I have. I know Sundays are tough because most people don't work, and that's the one day that you want to get other things done. But I also did it because it is the day that most people don't work. So Sunday afternoon, 2:00 Eastern Standard Time. If you're in California, that's earlier for you. If you're Central Time, it's later for you. I don't know what Central Time is, but look in your time zone chart and see what it is for 2:00 Eastern to your time zone. If you cannot make it live, do not worry. You will own it forever. And the reason I make it own it forever is because it's a corrective color class. I'm going to be sharing so much with you. Your head's going to explode and you're going to be like, wait, what did she say about removing splat? What did she say to do with Vivids where, I always go in and use bleach and it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? What did she say about that? So you will own it forever. So don't worry if you can't make it live. It's totally okay, but don't totally miss it because you can't come live is basically the point. So back to everybody's comments. Jennifer said, eek. Ursula is giving a recipe for Wella Color Touch. Interesting option. Jennifer said, I would ask her what she would like to see in her hair. If she wants to be a copper, then I would formulate for her roots and then do a glaze on the midshaft and ends. Okay. So I like that. But what I don't like is you saying I would ask her what she would like to see. I think more of us have to be the professional, like how we look at our doctors. When we go to our doctor and we don't feel well, we sit down and they say, tell me how you're feeling. And we say, I've been dizzy. I've been nauseous. I've had a low-grade fever. My throat hurts. My glands are swollen. Whatever our symptoms are, the doctor takes that information and then makes a suggestion and writes a prescription. So if we want to be paid like a doctor, a lawyer, or another professional, we keep saying we want to charge higher prices. We want to earn 6 figures. We deserve it. I agree with all of that. What I don't agree with is that most people will answer, and this is not a criticism. This is just an important thing to point out if you're doing it, is asking the client what they want. Do I mean they don't have a say at all? Absolutely not. I don't have that kind of ego where I'm like, oh, you are doing what I want. And that's the end of the story. But what my clients will tell you is that when they had to segue into having another colorist, the thing that made them the most uncomfortable is that the colorist would say, so what would you like me to do today? And that is a phrase that I took completely out of my vocabulary very early on in my color career. I never say, what would you like to do today? I look at the hair, I look at their skin, I look at their makeup or lack thereof. If I see that they're not wearing a lot of makeup, I'm not going to give them a double processed blonde, harsh, really dramatic color that I know they're not going to pull off if they don't have makeup on. So be that next step up colorist, be that color expert, that specialist, that, bespoke and couture colorist, which is what I stress in the inner circle, is stop just slapping color on people's roots and setting a timer. If you want to get 6 figures and above, and you want people to come to you from all over and not have to take 8 million of these on Instagram photos of before and afters, bothering your client, running yourself behind because you have to keep taking these damn pictures, You don't have to do any of that if you step up your game and you become the go-to authority. You want to be an authority in your space, and you want them to say, I know I don't like this. I mean, she likes it, which is scary, but most people would say, I know I don't like this. I like that. They can show you a picture of when they did like it. You can gather the information, but it's your job to look at that client. I want you right now to look at her face. So anyone that's giving me the answer, like I would highlight and low light, I would make her cooler. I would cool her down. I would, go in with an ash or a blue or whatever is always our reaction when we see orange. But look at her skin. Look at how peachy her skin is and look how many freckles she has. She is not meant to be a blonde. This mid and end chlorine blonde, for lack of a better description, the blonde that comes from swimming a lot when you're trying to be blonde, that was not good for her. So rather than try to get her back to that blonde, which it's very normal for people to comment that that was your answer, because that's what we do. We put fires out. We're like, oof, orange, get the blue. Blue is the bully. Blue in 5 minutes turned this to this. 5 minutes. Or I'm sorry, this to this. It takes over. It completely takes over the party when you have blue in there. So only use blue if you really are like, get that orange. I don't want it anywhere in the building. Like you want to really be committed to the power of the blue and don't always automatically extinguish the warmth. So Jennifer just said she has freckles. She looks like a natural redhead maybe she's trying to say I would out of formulate her to a natural redhead. Yes, she should be more like a natural redhead, which would be very easy to do from where she is now. The other thing that happened was a lot of people on the coaching call addressed this. Everybody was worried about this and addressing this, and they didn't talk about the fact that the back hasn't been colored in probably, I don't know, at least a year. So big, giant regrowth. And I did a whole class complimentary during COVID because I knew I've been doing this for almost 40 years. And I knew that most stylists, when their clients finally made it back into the salon, were going to go in and simply retouch their hair. And their hair was growing out this much. A retouch is this much. This is not a retouch. This becomes corrective color, no matter what. Corrective color doesn't just mean going from Kim Kardashian to Gwen Stefani or vice versa. That's not what corrective color is. Corrective color is anything that has a lot going on in the hair that's more than just a simple retouch. I'm going to see if I have other photos. I was playing with them this morning for the class, but so this is Sandy. She's a typical an example of the COVID thing. She let her hair go. She had a bad experience the time before she came to see me. Her hair was breaking off. She said, I just let it go. I didn't know what to do. It was so dry. So when I got in there and did her color, I went in and foiled her to break up some of that, big, long band. She had all that dark in the back. She had the long regrowth. She had old highlights. She had all kinds of things going on. Now, is she going to be just a typical retouch? Absolutely not. And again, that COVID class, I taught people how to address when the hair is grown out this much. You can't put your typical, say your client's formula was 7N, equal parts 7N and 8G. Let's just make that up. If that's our formula and you put that on that full regrowth on Sandy, you're not going to get an even result because the 7N and 8G to the regrowth, yes, it's going to be exactly what you wanted it to be because it's that hair that's close to the heat of the scalp. It's brand new, healthy hair. It's not been through any heat damage, any mineral buildup, anything, no anything. It's going to be fabulous, but that other part that's further out from where her regrowth is not going to behave the same way. And as a result, you have to treat it completely differently. So most of us don't think about that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm going to be there for you on Sunday. If anything that I'm saying to you is resonating where you're like, oh crap, I never even thought of that. Like I would never even think that more of a root has to be a totally different way to apply the color and become a corrective situation. And not only does it have to be handled differently, it has to be charged differently. Kareen, it's not in there because it didn't happen yet, honey. It's live on Sunday, and you guys are going to get the recording put in the library right after. So it doesn't exist yet. I know you're excited. I love you. I was just using your soap this morning, so thank you again for the handmade soaps. So Kareen gave me some fabulous handmade soaps when I saw her in California. Oh, the COVID one. That might not be in there. I got to look for that. I will look for that. I promise you. I'm going to write myself a note right now. And you can torture me if I forget. So Kareen, COVID class. Our coaching call from this past week is in there. If anybody missed it, you can go back and watch it. How much is it? It is $67. And again, you own it forever. And it has a live Q&A to it. I'm not just talking at you for 2 hours. I am teaching you and then I'm answering your questions. So it's a very, very deep dive and very important class. So I hope, Cindy, that you will join us. Did you get that link? Okay, Cindy, I'll put it in here again, just in case. The more people that I have in a class, the higher my energy is. I helped my sister out. She did a Zoom last night for the first time. She's starting a membership called the Woo Crew. She does Reiki, energy healing. She does like nutrition, all things for, women's, especially, menopausal stuff. So she was doing a Zoom. She had no idea how to do Zoom. So I was helping her with it. And I said, you guys did great. It was your first thing. I could tell you were nervous, but once you start talking, you get more comfortable. And I said, I was getting a little bit of nervous for you guys because when we first started, you only had 8 people in the waiting room. But by the time they got into what they were talking about, they had, over 20 people. And I said, for me, if I have a class with only 5 people in it, like I've gone to beauty schools and I'm so excited to be there and teach, and then only like 5 people show up, my energy is like shrunk. As soon as I see that, I feel like, why am I here? People don't care what I have to say. They don't want to listen. They don't want or need the help. Why did I waste my time driving an hour to get here? I'm not getting paid for this. Why do I care so much? Like all the imposter syndrome things, come into play. And I'm like, awful at what I went to teach, where I went in with high energy and excitement and passion for sharing. And then when it's like, wah, 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 5 people and in beauty school, if you've ever taught in a beauty school, you look out at 5 people looking like this. They kind of give you the death stare. I actually called, I don't know if Risha's on here, but I called a girl out on a virtual class because she was giving me the look like, I really wish I wasn't here right now. And in my opinion, I was sharing a lot of nuggets. It was really good information. And she had a soda on her desk and she had her head down and was on her phone the whole time. And I was talking about whatever. And I said, like the girl in the first row that has the Pepsi on her station, she's been on her phone the entire time texting and hasn't heard a word that I said. And when she leaves school and goes into a salon and a client sits in her chair and it's the very situation that I just, helped you guys get out of, she's going to be sorry she wasn't paying attention. And all the other girls were like, whoa, I can't believe you just said that. But I'm like, I'm giving you my time. I've been doing this 40 years. I don't need to be here on this virtual call with your beauty school. Like you're not making my mortgage payment. I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart. Please. Oh, you are on here, Risha. Risha said that was hilarious. But I was like, I'm donating my time to you and you need to respect my time and respect me and at least pretend that you're listening. Don't be so obvious and be on your phone and not care. We had another girl who was talking about going right into a suite after she graduates. And we were really trying to talk her out of it. And it was not going well. She was not liking me or what I had to say. And I'm really curious. I keep checking in with Risha because she's a member in the inner circle. I'm like, how'd that girl make out? Like, is she making it? Am I eating crow? Like, did she, do really well? I can't imagine that she did because going into a suite, here's the deal. We're all cocky when we get, not all, but most of us are way more confidence than skill when we get out of beauty school. We're like, oh, I don't want to be anybody's shampoo bitch. I don't want to do that. And we need to, right? We need to watch someone who's been there, done that, had the experience, learn from it, and share with us what not to do. Oh my gosh, are you serious? This is so classic, Risha. I hope that I have a recording of that because that is like the perfect thing for me to use on my Instagram. Like, oh, she's in my face about how dare you tell me not to open a suite? I know what I'm doing and I already have it, reserved and blah, blah, blah. And she doesn't do hair anymore. Wah, wah, wah. Poor baby. She was not listening. But that's the thing. And that's part of, I get frustrated and I'm always venting to my kids. I'm 57 years old. I've been doing hair for almost 40 years. I know a lot. I've learned a lot. I'm not perfect. I never say I am. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a chemist. I can only tell you what I know works, what I've done that works, what I've done that doesn't work. So it's useful information. If you've ever been to a dinner party where your older aunt or your grandmom is telling a story about when I was your age and you're rolling your eyes and you're like, oh my God, who cares? That was like the Stone Ages. You had to chisel your name and, in stone for your signature and you don't pay attention. And then that family member passes and you're like, you get to be that age. And you're like, wow, she was really trying to give me wisdom that I should have taken advantage of, and shame on me for not paying attention. So that's kind of how I feel like my career is right now. I often share with people. I've just had a bunch of people join me in the inner circle. If you have not done it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. You can join and have the entire library and the coaching for only $97 a month. DM me if you want more information, or come Sunday and we'll talk about it then. But a bunch of people just joined, and every single one of them, I said, unmute yourself and introduce yourself to me. I want to meet everybody. And every single one said, oh God, I wish that I had you and this membership when I was 20, 22, when I was starting out. And I'm like, yes. And that is why I started this business initially, was to help people when they're coming right out of school and they have their newborn deer legs and they haven't quite got to the chapter that they need for what they need behind the chair, which is what happened to me. So everything about what I do is I'm providing something that I never had. And I'm generous with information, and I love coming on here every Wednesday, and I'm on YouTube, and the YouTube people left 30 minutes ago because they only last 2 minutes, but they'll come back for the replay. But it's all really awesome information. And because I am of the age that I am, the fabulous 20 somethings, like our girlfriend that wouldn't listen about the suite and stop doing hair, they don't want to hear it. It's like, old lady, old lady, old lady. But if they would just get there, start with the book, A Colorful Journey Behind Me. You can get it on Amazon. Start with the book. Learn how I teach formulation completely different than we learned in beauty school. After the book, take, Fearless Formulation. It's all about formulation. Once you get through that, you realize, wow, I need a whole lot more than this. Then you join the membership, because then you get Fearless Formulation, Let's Go Glazy Crazy, Hair Color Formulation Simplified, Sunday's class that's coming up. You get every single thing in the membership that you've ever needed, and you have it for as long as you remain a member. And you get live coaching with me, where we jump on a hot seat and say, this is your client. And you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's so uneven. She has this going on in the back and this going on the sides and then this going on top. And you're overwhelmed. We do what's called a hot seat, where you and I do this. You see me on camera. I see you on camera. We share pictures and I walk you through the entire process. Okay. Step 1, we're going to address the back of her head by doing 1, 2, 3. Step 2, we're going to address the mids by doing this. Step 3, we're going to address it. We go through every single thing. It's like having a very chubby genie. I'm like a genie in a bottle that comes out and answers all of your hair color questions. And I don't know about you, but I've never had that ability to do that. I had an amazing mentor, Beth Minardi, but I didn't have her on speed dial. I didn't have the ability when I had a client in my chair and I was freaking out to be like, Beth, what do I do? My members do. So that's the difference between, being in a community like that and the members. If I am not available, if I am at a wedding or in the shower or, on vacation, whatever's going on, when they post something in the Facebook group, 30 people come to their aid not me. Other members are like, oh my gosh, Elaine talked about this. She helped me through this. This is what I did. Da, 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 da. And they're like, thank you so much. And all of the things. So yeah, it's just amazing. Michelle is saying, I'm here because I want to go to a suite, but I know. Thank you for knowing that you need to go for the education. 51, just obtained my license. I'm here to learn it right the first time. I have to say, Michelle, congratulations. The best transformations I've seen in this membership, it's been 7 years since I started down this journey. The most intense and fastest transformations are exactly what you are, Michelle. People, men and women, I have men and women who've done this, who've entered the industry in their late 40s, early 50s for the first time. They had that dream as a kid. They always wanted to be, in a salon and a hairdresser, and they got talked out of it, or they had kids, or they went to college and they did the whole corporate thing and then they burned out and then they come back to it. I just had a call yesterday with a woman who worked for, corporate for years. Then she worked for beauty school corporate, and now she's doing hair. It's never too late. And the maturity level, I'm sorry, this is why 20 somethings don't love me as an educator. I'm very brutally honest. The maturity level of a 45, 55-year-old person, they're a sponge. Michelle, if I say something, Michelle says, okay, and she does it. Where the 20 somethings know everything. We know from being parents, if you have a 20 something, they know everything. They don't want to hear it. And they just, shut it all out, and they just keep making mistakes thinking that they know better. Or they're watching someone on TikTok or Instagram and they're watching a 2-second version of something thinking that they're seeing the whole picture. They're not. And they don't get the full picture, and they don't have success because they didn't get the full picture. And then they run into trouble. And then they find me when they've been doing hair 15 years. This is the deal, guys. Clients only give you one shot, right? They come to you. It's really hard. Think about the last time you left your hairdresser. Like you watching me right now, if you're a hairdresser, you have that person in your salon that you trust, that it's your go-to person, or you go outside the salon, whatever it is, or you do it yourself. Because a lot of us are control freaks and we end up doing it ourselves. So if that's the case, think about what it would take you to sit in someone's chair that is brand new in the industry, like Michelle just said she was. Would you trust her right now? Would you sit in her chair? No. And there's a good reason that you don't, because as a stylist, how much she has to learn to be able to do your hair the way that you want it done. Clients don't know that. So they land in our chair for the first time. By the grace of God, we get them in our chair and we have one shot. And if we don't have the education that we need and we don't have those foundations, we're not prepared to do a good job, and we F it up. And then what happens? That client leaves. She tells her entire family. She tells her neighbors. She tells her coworkers. Everybody says, don't go to Michelle. She doesn't know what she's doing. And then you're like, you have the scarlet letter of hairdressers of don't trust her. Where if Michelle goes and studies under a mentor like myself or someone in a salon that cares about teaching, you then watch them handle the lady we showed this morning, the, screwed up hair that they get them out of and fix. Then watching them do that, they then have the confidence of knowing what to do. Then they want to practice on doll heads, practice on swatches, practice on things that are not attached to a human being. Get all your nonsense out on that. Like I just saw Johnny pop up with a comment. Johnny and I do swatches. These are Johnny's swatches. We do swatches all the time. And we've been doing hair longer than some hairdressers have been alive, because we would much rather screw it up on a, human hair swatch that we buy to mess around on than on someone's head where they're never going to come back to us because we were playing on their head like a science experiment. So this has been very long and I went way off topic like I always do. But as you can see, I am very passionate about what I do, and there's no sense in me talking to myself on Sunday. So if you're not there and I can't share it with you, then I'm just talking to myself and recording it. I want you to be there. I want you to experience it. $67 is, 5 times at Starbucks these days, or one lunch out. My husband and I will go to lunch. We're thinking like, let's go to lunch instead of dinner because we're trying to save money for whatever vacation. And we go to lunch and it's $80. I'm like, when did lunch become $80? And we don't drink. We have no alcohol in the bill. It's just food, just salad, sandwich. We both drink water. Sometimes I'll be really wild and get an iced tea, and it's like $80 with a tip. So crazy, crazy, crazy. Um, Tracy, I think you're a member. Are you an Inner Circle member, Tracy? Because if you are, do not buy it. I said that earlier. You might have just joined us. Anybody who's an Inner Circle member, do not buy Sunday's class. You're going to get it automatically for being a member. And I don't want to have to refund you because my credit card company charges me $15 every time I do a refund. So it's very expensive to refund mistakes. So don't buy it, but do buy it if you're not a member. Hello, Miriam. I would love for you to learn more from me. You should join us in the Insiders, the Inner Circle. So thank you for listening. I hope to see some of you on Sunday. I hope that this was helpful, that when you have someone sit in your chair like that, that has all that going on, really taking a step back and looking at the entire picture, including the analysis of she should have never been a blonde. Don't put the fire out, punch the fire up, make it more natural and match her skin tone, her eye color, and all of the things. Excuse me. So thank you for being here. And I will look forward to seeing some of you on Sunday and seeing all of you next Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.